Standing alone on the court, the protagonist stares at the hoop while hearing voices saying his goals are impossible. His peers mock him because they think his dreams are way too big and they want him to face reality right now. Stretching his arms, the boy ignores those who say that watching him try so hard is just painful and embarrassing. Dark memories of a screaming man flash through his mind as if his own father was the one putting him down. Holding a small earbud, the athlete looks at the negative words surrounding him like "give up" or "you have no talent." The young man prepares to block out the noise because he is tired of everyone telling him he is just a waste. Bringing the device to his ear, the player decides that music is the only way to escape this toxic atmosphere. With a simple tap, the sound starts playing while the teenager finds his own rhythm to start the practice session. Bouncing 3 balls at once, the athlete thinks about how people love to focus on the failure of others. Showing off his skills, the character moves with speed because he wants to prove that his hard work is real. Dribbling low to the ground, the boy in the yellow jersey displays incredible control while his focus remains sharp. Moving like a blur across the court, the player executes a fast play to show that he won't stop for anyone. He wonders why these people think they can judge him since nobody knows the effort he puts in every single day. Slanting the ball against the floor, the teenager shows his frustration because he is tired of being underestimated. Wearing the number 10 jersey, the protagonist finally enters the light as he prepares to dominate the entire game. Sweating a lot, the athlete stares ahead while feeling the pressure of the intense game. Looking toward the bright lights, the player with number 10 wonders if everyone wants him to quit right now. Near him, a guy wearing glasses shows a small smile that seems quite mysterious. Different faces show up on the screen while the tension in the stadium reaches a peak. Grabbing the ball, the protagonist starts a fast sprint because he is ready to give his all. Jumping high in the air, the boy challenges his opponent to try and block the shot. Whispering in the dark, 2 students talk about a secret that nobody should really know. Reading an old news report, they see a story about a kid who got hurt 2 years ago. Carrying a heavy bag, the son of that man is revealed to be the leader of the team. Tightening his laces with force, the athlete prepares himself for another long day of training. Taking a deep breath, the young man looks up at the sky while trying to calm his mind. Starting his run, the teenager moves quickly through the quiet streets of the neighborhood. Running toward the court, the narrator mentions he was a star until that tragedy changed everything. Standing by the machine, a red-haired boy gets startled as someone rushes past him. Speeding away, the player loses his chance to join the elite school he wanted to attend. Here we see Yujun, who is the basketball captain of the school, and he is ready to start a tough practice. Down on the floor, the ball bounces with a loud sound while the athlete prepares to make his first big move. Jumping high into the air, the boy tries to shoot the sphere because he wants to show off his amazing skills. Instead of hitting the basket, the object strikes the net of some badminton players who are also using the gym. Startled by the sudden collision, a girl screams in surprise since she was just trying to focus on her own game. Angry students shout at the players to leave the area because they need to study for an important school test. Feeling very confused, the vice captain named Yeo Sung-hak wonders why the entire room is such a total mess. Looking around the huge hall, the teenager notices that the badminton club has completely taken over his court. Due to the coach being gone for over 3 months, the gym has become a place where nobody follows any rules. Right on the sidelines, some soccer players are just sitting around, which makes the captain feel even more annoyed. Approaching the group, the protagonist asks if they are also there to practice for their practical exam today. Because it is way too hot outside, the soccer athlete explains they are just resting in the shade of the building. Watching the chaotic scene, the young leader realizes that his team will have a hard time training in this place. Trembling with visible rage, the angry teen looks like he is about to explode at the lazy guys on the floor. Moving his feet in green shoes, one athlete prepares to walk away while the tension in the room keeps growing. Looking very angry, this athlete hates seeing people walking on the gym floor with soccer cleats. Watching from the side, he notices the group is just messing around while playing where they should not be. Suddenly, a ball flies through the air, then hits the rim with a very loud thud. The ball bounces right off the hoop before smacking the furious athlete directly in his face. This chaos happens at Yomian High School during what was supposed to be a normal afternoon. Looking on with wide eyes, the other students are totally shocked by the sudden impact. A huge fight starts as the basketball team clashes with those soccer players who invaded the court. Yeo Sung-hak starts losing his mind with rage while his teammates try their best to hold him back. To stop an all-out war, his friends are literally stretching his face so he stays away from them. Even though he is making funny faces, the situation on the floor is actually getting intense. Eventually he screams out that he is calm even though he clearly still wants to fight everyone. One of the soccer players ends up sitting on the floor after the chaotic scramble finally stops. The boy on the ground looks annoyed as he complains about the basketball player having a bad temper. Another teammate steps in, then reminds everyone they should show some basic courtesy during practice. Now the hot-headed teen is just growling like an animal while his buddy pets his head to relax him. Looking annoyed, the player asks if the other boy is joking about having practice right now. Surprise takes over the two friends as they hear the news that their coach just ran away. Lowering his head, the captain realizes that everyone knew about this while they were simply abandoned. Squeezing the sphere with total frustration, the athlete shows how much anger is building up inside him. Launching a powerful kick, the guy sends the ball flying across the room while letting out a scream. Shouting at the top of his lungs, the tall teen claims the club will be disbanded because they are all losers. With a terrifying look in his gaze, the sportsman seems to have lost his mind because of the bad news. Staring in complete silence, the teammates watch the scene while one of them starts to feel very nervous. Looking serious, the main character mentions that a basketball actually gets ruined when someone kicks it. Falling to the ground, the object bounces away while the tension in the gym continues to grow. Showing a deep blue color, the boy's vision reveals that he is focused on something very important. Throwing a heavy bag on the floor, the leader stands in front of his group while feeling totally hopeless. Opening the sliding door, someone enters the office to deal with the mess the team is facing. Looking back with a curious expression, the teenager wonders what will happen to their future. Standing in the bright hallway, the two students face each other while the atmosphere stays quiet. Messy-haired boy explains things are fine since no punches were thrown and the bag was actually empty. Watching with a serious face, the long-haired friend asks what will happen to the basketball team now. Stopping in his tracks, the protagonist feels the weight of that question while standing in the hallway. Standing inside the office, he hears that a sports club cannot exist without a proper supervisor. Due to the poor track record, the teacher explains that the school will not look for a coach. Hearing that the club might be disbanded soon, the young man suddenly hears his companion calling his name. Turning around with a confident smile, the leader says he must go and asks his buddy to lead practice. Filled with total confusion, the teammate wonders what is going on with this sudden departure. Inside the gym, the remaining players count to 3 while pushing heavy equipment across the floor. Wiping away sweat, the boy wonders where the captain could possibly find a new coach for them. Looking towards the distance, the long-haired boy realizes there might be a perfect candidate nearby. Above the school flag, the narrator mentions how Yoo-jun ended up here after being rejected. Accelerating quickly, the feet of the athlete hit the ground while he rushes toward his goal. Running through the crowd, the boy is determined because the person he needs is at this school. Racing across the courtyard, the protagonist moves fast while everyone else just watches him pass by. The physical education teacher Jae-ho yells that he won't be a coach because he wants the kid to stop following him. In front of them sits a large blue trash bin which seems to be the target of some sudden movement. Jumping over the obstacle, the student shows off some crazy agility while trying to catch up to his target. Suddenly the container falls over and spills all the garbage across the floor as the boy passes by. Looking back with a worried face, the teacher says oops after realizing he caused a huge mess on the ground. Quickly dodging the flying papers, the young athlete keeps his balance and continues his pursuit without stopping. Sliding across the tiles, he manages to stay upright despite the slippery trash blocking his path forward. Running away from the disaster, the kid maintains his speed so he can keep talking to the grumpy man. Shouting loudly, the teenager challenges the adult to test his skills instead of just being a normal trainer. This skilled dancer from the high school shows off his moves while spinning a ball on his finger effortlessly. Looking excited, the student asks the man to finally accept the position of basketball coach for the team. Walking down the hallway, the red-haired adult simply says no while the persistent boy follows right behind him. Still smiling, the energetic kid mentions basketball again to convince the teacher, who is clearly annoyed. Even during lunchtime, the older guy refuses to help while the student keeps pestering him during the meal. Telling the teacher to get lost while still calling him coach, the boy shows he won't give up so easily. Standing outside the bathroom, the dark-haired boy asks why the other one isn't in class and calls him crazy. Suddenly, 2 hands grab the top of the stall as someone tries to climb over to see what is happening inside. Popping his head over the wall, the energetic student shouts about the basketball team with a giant smile on his face. Furious at the lack of privacy, the red-haired guy screams at the intruder for being a total weirdo in the restroom. Sighing deeply, the redhead looks completely exhausted while admitting that the other guy is just way too stubborn. The tired student finally says he will accept the proposal, and that makes the athletic boy look incredibly happy. Before starting anything, the glasses guy asks to hold the ball and the dark-haired kid hands it over immediately. Grabbing the basketball with one hand, the redhead prepares to show off his skills while the atmosphere gets tense. Instead of dribbling, the redhead kicks the ball away with all his might as the other student watches in total shock. Screaming at the top of his lungs, the glasses kid yells psych because he was actually just trolling the whole time. Walking away, the angry boy warns that he will rip the ball to shreds if he is ever bothered by this crazy kid again. As the sun begins to set, the school building is covered in a warm orange light while the long day finally ends. Yawning loudly, the red-haired student stretches his arms and celebrates because the annoying situation is over. Slumped over his desk, the boy complains about not being used to sitting down because he just wants to go home now. Resting his head back, the exhausted teen looks at the ceiling and hopes that he can finally get some rest tonight. Looking through the window, the boy with glasses watches someone playing on the court below. Down there, a kid is dribbling the ball with incredible speed and doesn't seem to get tired. Observing the scene, the redhead thinks about how much effort the player is putting in. Suddenly, a basketball flies by and makes the observer jump back while he screams in fear. Letting out a heavy sigh, the teen tries to recover from the sudden shock he just had. Standing right there, the player calls him a stalker and looks quite annoyed by his presence. The athlete is now lying on the ground taking a break while the visitor stands over him. Staring intensely with his red eyes, the boy with glasses notices something very weird. Bending down, he grabs the basketball to see why it looks so different from a normal one. Holding the worn object, he wonders how many times it was bounced to end up in that state. A look of pure surprise covers his face as he realizes the situation is much crazier. His expression changes to total shock while his mind struggles to process what he sees. Looking at the floor, he notices the ball hitting the same spot every single time. These deep marks on the court didn't happen because it was old or poorly made. The kid practiced so much that he actually wore a groove into the solid floor with the ball. We meet a sleeping boy named Yoo-jun who seems to be resting on the ground after a long day. 2 years ago he was a star athlete, but everyone hated him because his father was a criminal. After his family secrets were exposed by the media, the boy was forced to move to a new school. Staring intensely with glowing glasses, a mysterious student asks a very deep question. Standing on the court, the stranger wants to know what basketball truly means to the former star. Suddenly, a ball bounces right off the head of the guy who was just trying to get some sleep. Asking another thing, the kid with glasses wonders why he still plays if it only causes him pain. Pushing himself up from the floor, the fallen athlete prepares to tell his side of the story. Looking back at the past, the young man realizes that his start in the sport was not special. Running away from his angry father as a child, he ended up on the street with several bruises. Walking through a lonely park, he found an old abandoned basketball sitting alone on the ground. Tossing the ball into the air for the first time marks the beginning of his journey in the game. Seeing famous players who had tragic childhoods inspired the kid to try and change his life. Watching them on television, he practiced every single day just to escape his miserable reality. Sitting on the court now, he feels like all his effort only brought him mockery and insults. Unfortunately, people only focus on the fact that Yoo-jun is just a criminal's son, but that doesn't stop his dreams. Looking closely at his goal, the athlete wants to proudly show everyone his true self during the next match. He hopes they finally recognize him as the basketball player Yoo-jun instead of just a bad kid. Suddenly, a mysterious shadow appears and asks if all this effort is just for some kind of revenge. Throwing a ball back to the protagonist, the tall teen admits he felt bad for being mean earlier today. Since he found an extra ball, he decided to drop it off and help the sitting boy keep practicing. Walking away from the court, the student mentions he still has no interest in being a coach for anyone. Staying on the ground, the main character asks if the other guy really thinks he has what it takes. Stopping in his tracks, the taller boy stays silent while the sun sets behind the tall buildings. Memories of the past flood back, showing a time when he was called a mentor by his teammates. Looking at a terrible leg injury, it becomes clear why his sports career had to end so early. Crying in a wheelchair, the former star wondered if he could ever return to the game he loved so much. Gripping his head in frustration, the pain of losing his future was almost too much for him to handle. Returning to the present, an older man named Jae-ho appears and says he has something important to share. Surprised by the sudden news, the student is told to meet up right after school finishes tomorrow. Looking back with a serious expression, the red-haired student tells the other guy to meet him at the gym right away. Immediately, the glasses-wearing youth proposes a one-on-one fight since he wants to settle their score once and for all.